All right. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How does it feel to hosting us and now being in your Casa Om?
Well, I miss you all. Hosting's my favorite part of the process. The property transforms so much as people, different energy comes through, and we have another group coming in later today. So you have to like reset your mind. There's a journey for it where people come in, they don't know each other, they become friends, they get to know each other, the energy gets good usually, and then you have to like reset, start over, go back to hosting beginners again, beginner's mind, and get yourself ready. So that's where we are.
Wow, it seems like you've been doing this for quite some time now. You have like a routine.
I do. I have a mental, emotional routine. You know, yeah, I have to. Yeah, hosting is definitely like a little bit of an art and also a little bit of a science.
All right, that's totally true. Well, I want to go back to when you were a kid. So your childhood, how Hargobind came to be, who is this kid? Um, you're a Jew. You're an Afro Jew. Well, it's 7-Eleven running like all this. Where is this coming from?
So it's a great story. So my parents are Sikh converts. My father was Jewish. My mother was Irish Catholic. They converted to Sikhism before I was born. They were married maybe 5 or 10 years, and then I came along. So I grew up in America. I wore a turban, pretty much, my whole life. Um, when I was 12, I went to India, and so I lived in Amritsar from 12 to 17, 95 to 2000. And the joke you're referring to about the 7-Eleven is so yeah, I was very inspired by like the shopkeeper culture in Punjab. And like there was a guy who ran our store. His name was Bobby. I used to just like hang out with him, and I loved how he ran his shop. And then moved to A Block on Ranjit Avenue in Amritsar, which is in the city. I became friends with these guys, Punkage and Raju and Gil, and they all had their like little stores. So as a group, we like our community was building a school out in Cherta near the Pakistan border. And so there was no store out there. So I ended up like starting the school store, and that became like my little my little shop. And when I came home, my dad was like, I sent you to India to find enlightenment, and you ended up opening a 7-Eleven, and you're a perpetual disappointment, and I've been disappointing him ever since.
That is so funny because like obviously in art like we have been told we get kicked like if you get any do anything bad you get punished you're gonna get sent to Barusab or Miri Piri Academy and here this is happening to you as well but it's so funny because Jews are also known to be businessmen and you are not a second goes by and you're doing the entrepreneurial things there as well.
I mean, yeah, like so many of my like white Sikh friends, they're always just like, you're just like a Jew in a turban, and you're trying to pretend you're not what you are. The Jews and Sikhs have like some very interesting kind of cultural, historical connections between being the minority in their cultures, being the minority in their countries, and certainly both the persecution and the benefits that come by being an outsider. Certainly the persecution is well established. You just never want to be a minority in a majority culture. And it doesn't really matter where you are or what that is. The benefits of being a minority in a majority culture is like you'll always be on the outside. And so that outside perspective I think gives you phenomenal economic advantages because on the outskirts is where innovation occurs. And so if you're somewhat looking in, you'll see the criticisms, you'll see the flaws, and you'll see the opportunities that anyone that's in the group doesn't see. If you're too close to that like group think mentality, you just end up missing so many of the opportunities for innovation and change and really the seizing of the opportunity. And I think if you look at the economic success of Punjabis across the world, I kind of point to that piece of the persecution and of the seizing of opportunity that happens, and you see that in the Jewish community as well. But don't forget, I got the Irish Catholic in me too. So I can't disrespect that side of the lineage either.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Well, I will also go back. You were in a very hostile time in Punjab as well. Being a Gora Sikh during that time must been a very interesting time as well.
So by the time I got there, it was 95. So, you know, Punjab was super hostile from 84 till 91. By the time I had got to Punjab, it was a very like, I mean, you could feel the turmoil, but it wasn't quite, it definitely wasn't at the quite at the level of what it was before I got there. Um, you know, so you definitely had the history. You definitely had bullet holes, you know, still in the Akaltucket. They hadn't, you know, rebuilt Akaltucket yet. You know, there was definitely like rumors of things happening, but the overt violence had settled down by the time I got there. There were a few a few major assassinations happened, but most of those were in Delhi. And I was only 12, so a lot of what was actually going on was sort of, you know, I was unaware of it.
Mm, mm. So fast forward a little bit. Casa Om is happening. It's building. Tell me a little bit about your vision and how this all happened. You've had a Bikram yoga as well, and the turmoil and a little bit of how that came to be.
Yeah. Where to where to start? So growing up in boarding school, there was about 100 of us. We kind of moved around a little bit in North India, but certainly like the positives of like communal living, of eating together, of training together, of doing gutka together, of doing music together, of you know, just going to the Golden Temple together, doing worship together, doing prayers together, that was something that like left a permanent impression on me. And I would say through the Casa Ohms, I was able to recreate the very positive experiences that I had in Amritsar. And so when I like I think that there's a fundamental problem in American society with the level of alienation, loneliness, depression, and solitude, forced solitude, not chosen solitude, which is completely different and I think is extremely healthy. But the level of forced solitude that happens in this country is super unhealthy for our mental health, super unhealthy for our relationships, super unhealthy for communal bonds, super unhealthy for innovation and the sharing of ideas. So when I realized that I could pull on a lot of these communal experiences and build these properties that would bring people together, have people eating together, eating healthy food together, you know, practicing together, working out together, I realized like I think I have a solution to one of the greater problems in American society. And so I've been kind of chasing those ideas and building them into my properties so that groups would come here, have amazing experience, people across the political spectrum, across the ideological spectrum, across you know, just all types of cultures would come here, feel welcome, get well served, connect with each other. Even the sign I have, you know, enter as strangers, leave as friends. That's really the goal that I have here. And you know, I've really built my businesses based on that.
I love that. So let's go a little bit deeper into your idea. You were teaching us about Dharmafy. Can you explain what is that? You have a book as well. Where this came to be? How is that? What is this process?
So I took essentially a lot of the Sikh philosophy that has inspired me, a lot of the yoga philosophy that has inspired me, even a lot of the business philosophy that inspired me, and I turned it into a journal practice. So it's a method. There's just 7 components to it, and I think it's a phenomenal way to balance the sort of spiritual drivers of humans with the material, you know, manifesting that doing on this earth where we're taking the raw materials of the world and transforming them, whether it's wood and stone to concrete and framing of your house, transforming the materials that exist and bringing them into the ideas that are floating around in all of our minds. So there's just 7 pieces to it. And I think you can apply it to your love life. I think you can apply it to grieving and sadness. I think you can apply, definitely, I mean, how I developed it was really applying it to my businesses to really keep me focused and kind of understand the core drivers and needs of your business and entrepreneurial ideas. And so I looped it into, customers described it as Dharmify, which is just a play on the word Dharma.
I love that. Can you give us example of um, the chop wood and carrying water?
Yeah,
One of
totally.
the steps.
Um, so there's this Zen koan which says, before enlightenment, you chop wood and you carry water. After you reach enlightenment, you still just chop wood and carry water. And my interpretation of that is the path is the goal. And that as we wake up in the morning and we have infinite choices, what we want to spend our time on is the things that are going to bring us the most enlightenment, going to help us reach our goals. And then realize that, like, once you win the Super Bowl, you just wake up the next day and you're just the same dude. Once accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish on this planet, you still then just wake up the next day and put your pants on the same way you've always done. And so that idea of, like, understanding that all of the steps that we take in our lives, it just keeps going. And so we want to align those steps to the things that are most meaningful to us. And I try to help people do that in the earlier stages of the Dharmify before we actually start chopping wood and carrying water.
I love that. So let's move a little bit more fast forward. I just attended a fun and exciting creation of Hot Yoga Hotel. Explain this in your words and vision. What is Hot Yoga Hotel?
So I got divorced like 3 years ago. Um, so I grew up, 12 to 17, I'm in India. I come back to the United States. I'm a total alien in America. I have like such the Indian mentality, but I'm just like such a little white boy, roaming around trying to figure out, like, what is America? Who am I? So then I get, I with someone for 17 years. I never really dated, obviously pre-internet dating culture. Didn't really date, was with someone, get divorced at 39. So at 40, I'm on, Tinder, swiping for the first time and, have all these like super interesting, dates and interactions and, connections with people and sort of walked away thinking, like, dating culture in America is crazy. It's toxic. It's weird. Like, if you're in it, you think it's normal. But, like, for someone who's like all of a sudden gets dropped into it, I was like, this is like a super peculiar space to be in. And people treat each other in this subculture in a way that, like, I would never treat a friend or I would never treat someone that I care about. And all of a sudden you're going to an intimate level of connection with someone and then ghost them, like, just never talk to them again. Like, I was like trying to wrap my mind around, like, would I ever treat would I ever treat people I care about like that? And the answer is no. Like, like, obviously you have to put up boundaries, you have to, have hard conversations, but there was just activity in that space that I was just thought was super peculiar. Now, I'm in the hosting business. Like, my job 24/7 is to take care of people, to feed people, to make sure they're safe, make sure that their air conditioner works, like, make sure that their, spaces are clean and they're comfortable and having a good time. So I had this idea where I was like, I wonder if I could create a dating experience that is based on community, that is based on connection, that is based on personal development, but also gives people a chance to connect on an intimate level and explore whether there would be romance or love or some type of deeper connection amongst each other. And then you support that experience with all the health and wellness practices that we do. And as I was thinking about it more, I was like, I believe that this is a message that needs to get out there. I think that this is not only like a great, fun, entertaining product, but I think this is how people should date more often. I think that there should be more community building, more friendship, more networking, more like, okay, maybe you're not going to connect with him, but maybe you know a woman that would love this guy. Like, what if we go back to this idea of like serving each other and like, what can we contribute rather than like, what can I take from you and then ghost you and like, fuck up all your emotions. And so is there a way to do that? And essentially Hot Yoga Hotel became the reality TV yoga dating show for us to test this experiment.
Mm. Wow. That's a very deep, thoughtful experience and journey. Not a lot of people can handle that. And we've seen that this weekend as well.
Well,
Um,
you handled it. You were amazing. Well, yeah. What was your experience?
yeah, it's not for everybody. It's not, you know, mindset, soul, body, everything has to be aligned, or at least working consciously towards it. Um, so it is very interesting in putting someone in a container like that. Um, my experience as being a marketing director for Single to Shadi, where you come to a matchmaker wanting them to find you a match because they've done that research of this person has this criteria, they check this boxes, but yet there's always a spark that is left. And, you know, me as a marketing person, I would hear stuff like, I'm never gonna find that person. I'm just uh he's a mama's boy, or she just has too big of an ego, and all these like negative things. And I think that impacts all of us as a community when there's constant feeding into that. And what this created was a community, exactly what you just said. So um yeah,
Finding that spark with people is just such a wild card. I mean,
it
it's
is.
it's you can put down all the criteria you want. Like if the spark isn't there, it's really hard to force it.
That's true too. Agree. So tell me a little bit more of your process of creating this happen. Where was your like, why even a reality show? Like this could have easily been like just a regular retreat. Come to us, we'll help you find this person. But you ended up bigger. Like this is going to be a reality TV show. Why?
You know, the camera, people are like, oh, the camera's so fake. Like you're showing up, you just, you want fame. You want to put your face out there. You want that like need to be seen. I think the camera is a phenomenal self-reflection tool
Mm.
that when you look into that camera and you see who you are and you let the world know this is what you're about, there's a certain like courage and embodiment that happens when you just decide, I don't really care. Like, this is who I am. And so the idea of turning it into a reality show to me was a tool for all of us to just be like, this is who we are. This is what we're about. And I think that's one of the most attractive things any of us can do when we're thinking about attracting other people. So to me, the camera allowed us not only to bring you guys together for connection, but maybe you're not going to meet someone on the show. But when I put your Instagram up there and like everybody knows, oh, Supreet's single, like, wow, like I love this person. Like, look how incredible she is, how thoughtful she is, how beautiful she is. Like, I'm gonna message her. Like, all of a sudden, we created not only a platform for you guys to connect, but for us to all like put the message out there that, hey, we're open to love. Like, we're open to connection. And you might get a ton of like random DMs, but you also might get like the most amazing person that reaches out to you. And so to me, the camera was a way to like massively amplify the message. And so
So,
I just sensed the opportunity to go big.
mm. So what was your biggest challenge in the production of this?
Um, I don't feel like there was like a biggest challenge. Like I kept waking up and saying to myself, do your job, keep your mouth shut, go to bed. Wake up the next day, do your job, go to bed. And so, I mean, there was logistical challenges, there was the normal things, but it was like just outside my skill set, which is actually like where I feel like growth always is like you get a little uncomfortable and then you go for it, and you get a little uncomfortable and you go for it. So in terms of like the biggest challenge, the only time I was like, oh, this is a big challenge, was recruiting men. And
Mm.
recruiting men for a dating show like gave me insight into like some of the issues women face when trying to pick up men. And definitely like I never expected like to be like on the internet trying to pick up men. And so that
Explain that
was
a little bit. So how
I
did
was
you
like
choose the men?
I was like, why
Because
don't these guys
we have
call
a
me
hard time
back?
finding
Like
good men.
I was like, can these guys like just please do what they say they're gonna do and like call me back? Like, can they please like show up on time? Can they like, do what they say they're gonna do? Like can they like not play these like silly games? Like if they're interested in me, can they just be like, yeah, Hargobind, we're doing the show, and not like breadcrumb me along and then decide they're gonna like ghost me, you know? Um,
That is too funny that
and so so ultimately though, I feel like we came up with amazing guys. Like I will be friends with these guys. Like I feel like how these guys showed up is like phenomenal. I feel like they're going to be my brothers. Like I think um I think we got an amazing cast of guys. So I can't really say all men are a certain way, because ultimately I was actually overwhelmed with guys. And um and maybe that is also like a reflection on me. Like as my concept got stronger, as my message got stronger, more and more guys that were vibing with me started showing up. And
Mm,
I think that that could be the takeaway also for the women, is like the more clarity that we get in terms of this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna, this is the message I want, and this is what I want back. That does help weed out dudes that are just playing games. And I certainly weeded through a lot of guys that were just playing games. But some women too, like they're in the process of this. I definitely found women that were like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm in, and then things happen. Just things happen. And I think for any of us, the overall thing is like we have to be open hearted, we have to be clear on our message, we have to keep putting ourselves out there, we have to be comfortable with our own discomfort. And I think that's what opens the space for deep, profound connections with people.
definitely. So I'm getting asked, was there a success story and a quote unquote success? So you want to answer that?
Yeah, we had a super cute success story. Yeah, absolutely. I think especially that the one couple, they made an amazing connection. They were sending us pictures from their trip home. They were super cute. And you never know how far, how long, what things are. But I think what's special about our show is like, this isn't a preparation for marriage. This isn't like an end goal, live happily ever after. This isn't a, Temptation Island to see if your boyfriend can survive being around a bunch of hot women. This isn't like, some superficial type of box that we've created. All we're trying to do is create a container for personal reflection, self-transformation, community building, and the chance for romance. So if people find romance, nothing makes me happier. In the times that I've fallen in love and it's been reciprocated, those are the best times of my life. I'll reflect back on those maybe 3 or 4 extended moments, and just cherish them forever. What I think where I'm at on an emotional level is like just the fact that I'm open just keeps me in this like very positive mind space of being open without being jaded or bitter or blaming other people, and just constantly puts me into like, how can I take more responsibility for my feelings? How can I process, my own flaws, perhaps, some of the things that were done to me that maybe shouldn't have been done, and just take ownership for it and continue to create these containers where other people can come in and do that kind of similar work. So we're kind of walking through life with a little bit more, lightness, and a little less bitter and jaded. And I think the world needs that.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's why I put quote unquote success because I feel like we all left with some kind of success. And it's just, it's what society defines as. So I love that. And I love, well, tell me a little bit more about Casa Om. So you're creating these, containers and things like that. What can we expect from these retreats? How should we come prepared? I know we talked about you're even hosting like a kids retreat. So that's even amazing because I really do feel like our young generation needs this at a younger age starting and not be bombarded with just come on.
Yeah. Uh, so I have two kids retreats this summer, which I'm super excited about. So my daughter's 11. When she was 5, she showed up here and she like declared that this is a kids camp. And I was like, no, Sienna, like this is a retreat center for adults. And we got into this like big argument when she was 5, where she was super adamant that like she didn't want adults here and she wanted kids. And so, it's a couple years, I was like, yeah, yeah, fine. Okay, we'll run a kids camp. I was like, shut up, kid, like, get out of here. And so, she kept bringing it up. And then when she was 7, I remember she pulled me inside and she said, she was like super pissed. She was like, is this a kids camp or not? And I was like, oh God, like, it's like defining parental moment. I was like, all right, fine, we'll do a kids camp. And she was like, okay, it's gonna be all kids. And I was like, Sienna, like, I am not qualified to like host 20 kids like tearing through the house. So I was like, all right, we'll do a parents and a kids camp. And so it'll be a yoga retreat for the parents and a kids camp for the kids. And we'll create, programming for the kids. We'll go, wake surfing on the river. We'll go caving. We'll go gymnastics. We'll do yoga practice. We'll play in the pool. We'll do kids Olympics. We'll play volleyball. We'll do sports. And then the parents can do a yoga retreat. They can get a massage. They can do cold plunge. They can interact with the kids when it's convenient. That we can all do gymnastics together. And so we've got a great concept. This is the third year now. We're actually sold out. It's fantastic. We've got kind of like a loyal customer base that keeps coming back for it. And now this is the first year where we're going to do a Raj Khalsa camp. So that'll be like a Sikh youth camp, for I think the kids from 14 to 18. And I think there's still spots for that. And that's being put on by the Gurdwara. We used to go to camps. We used to go to Hargobind Singh Foundation camps. I loved that camp. When I was a kid, I used to go to all types of other ones. So I'm excited to be part of that. That'll be the first year. That's coming up in July. That'll be a good one. And then I do my kind of normal yoga retreats. And my normal yoga retreats, so I've got one over July 4th, and I'll actually give a deal to all of your listeners. You can do buy one, get one free if you want to come for my yoga retreat. It starts June 30th, so it's pretty soon. And that is like a mix of Dharmafy. So we'll do a lot of the coaching stuff, whether you've got a business issue, you've got a love and relationship issue, you've got a health issue that you're working on. We kind of work through that as a coaching method. And then we weave that through all the yoga classes. We do a lot of hot yoga. We do some meditation. We'll do calisthenics. It's also right here on the river. So we'll get to go paddleboarding, canoeing. We'll get to go out on a boat. It's really just we'll light off a bunch of fireworks. We'll do bonfires. We'll share stories. It's a really kind of special week. And I hope you all.
That's amazing. I love that. I know being at the retreat, being at the property, it does really remind me of like being in gourmet camps again. It's like everybody's a community, you're learning, having fun at the same time. And I really wish I was actually applied to another sick called Sikri for adults. It's like a gourmet camp. Um, but yeah, speaking of that, I want to go back. and ask you like you've done this big step already. Like, what's your next vision now? What is the next goal? What are you thinking? Where is this the wheels turning towards?
Well, I can't get ahead of myself because I've got about 6 months of editing coming up. So we have 29 terabytes of footage, and we need to bring that down to about 160 minutes of content, maybe 180 minutes of content. So 8 episodes. Um, I'm in talks with all kinds of people now to sell the show. I'd love to sell it to Peacock or Netflix or HBO or Amazon. So if any of you listeners, if you're connected to media, I would love to have a talk with you. I had a great chat with the producer yesterday. I have like six calls coming up with different investors that want to buy into the show. So the momentum is huge, and I'm just really trying to lock in on the show, get it. I'm gonna be just relentless about creating just a phenomenally good edit of the show to do you all justice. And I think we're just at the right time. We have a dating show. It's based on health and wellness. So many of the dating shows are super toxic. So the fact that we're like leaning towards health and wellness, that's on trend. We have this whole communal angle. Certainly all the drama around the white Sikhs right now, we can, we can cash in on that. And then ultimately we've got love stories, we've got personal transformation stories, and we have a West Virginia story. And so, there's so much bias against West Virginia that I think is so silly. The fact that we're putting out a positive message, like I've had so much support from the state, between the state film office and the attorney general's office, and just people that Reed has been connecting me with. There's really just there's a lot of momentum on this project. I feel like we've got the right thing at the right time. Um, so we've got to execute. But I always can't help myself. Season 2 is going to be in Mexico. So we're gonna go down to Casa Om, Mexico. We're gonna make it bigger, hotter, more. So
Okay.
so we'll,
So
we'll
how
run
can
season.
anybody apply for this?
It's not even open yet for
Okay.
applications. But actually, if you want, send us a note through hotyogahotel.net. We'll put you on the list. We'll communicate about it. But I'm definitely doing it, and it's gonna be great.
This is so exciting. All right. Well, there's any last few things you want to share with our listeners and viewers?
Seriously, if you want to come to my retreat, buy one get one free. Sign up on the website casaompotomac.com. You'll see my July 4th retreat, or send me a note, or send Supreet a note. Yeah, I'll give you a special deal on it. I will show you the best time. I would love to have you here. We have a couple rooms left, and yeah, come. Just yeah, yeah. Stay connected, and yeah, just wishing you all the best.
All
And
right.
thank you,
Thank
Supreet. You're
you.
the best. You're
Of
you're you're
course.
amazing.
Thank you.